Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Miller and I am the Senior Manager of OpShops, or the Head of Charity Retail for an organisation called Uniting across Victoria and Tasmania in Australia. I'm so thrilled to be on video today. Jane and Vicky reached out and asked me to share a few things and do a few videos with you. So this first one is my story, but we'll also cover the word OpShop and the history of OpShops. We'll look at some of Uniting's OpShops in Australia and a few other topics as we go. We'll make it up as we go along and happy to take requests as well and do some more filming. So, my story. I stepped into the role as head of retail for Uniting at the age of 30. And where did that come from and why was I so keen to take the role on? When I was 14, I was volunteering for St Vincent de Paul Society, and I was working in youth programs and doing a lot in youth programs. And for Vinnies, as we call them in Australia, they weren't able to pay me for the work that I was doing in that space, but someone suggested that I meet with the retail team and that potentially there was opportunities in the retail team. I'm from quite a small community, I'm relatively small, Hobart, in Tasmania, and when I met with the head of retail in Vinnies in Hobart, I went to school with her daughters. Her sister taught me religion. Her nephew was in my class. So there's quite a lot of connection. And I don't know whether it was that, but it was as simple as, here's the key, can you open on Saturday? And so I started as an assistant manager or a casual weekend shop floor attendant on the Saturdays while I was at school. And all the way through my schooling, I stayed with Vinnies and kept working in the shops. And I was quite lucky that the shop that I was in was a curated store. It was quite a small store in Australian comparisons, but pretty average for a UK high street. And it was in a bustling high street with cinema and bookstore and a number of restaurants and wine bars, etc. And we were an 80% vintage retro store, so our product was quite curated, and so there was so much fun that I could have in the store and really loved being a part of that space. I worked across a number of stores for Vinnies until it was time to head to Sydney to study. And I was by then already smitten with OpShops and charity retail and decided that that's what I was going to continue to do while I was in Sydney, and did that to get me through my bachelor's degree. But part of that I did online, so I headed back to Hobart and back to Vinnies to do that online. This is kind of a theme and it goes on. I moved to Melbourne, I do my master's in Melbourne and do OpShops while I'm doing that as well and find great joy in doing that. For me, I think as a queer kid, there was something really special about being able to be fully myself in the charity retail space and dress up and be creative and play, and maybe that's another thing that we can look at and discuss in one of these videos, is diversity in OpShops. However, it all came to an end when I graduated and decided to work in an education department for a charity, but I was really missing the vibe and the energy and the thrill of being in OpShops, and so I decided to come back to the charity retail sector, and for a small hospice-like organisation, Sacred Heart Mission, I became, I guess, a store opener. I did 2 stores for them and decided that it was time to take the next bold step in order to prepare myself to grow in the sector, in order to prepare myself for this role as head of retail. So I headed over to the UK, actually, inspired by Mary Portas and the Queen of Charity Shops, which our very own Jane stars in, and just really wanting to learn from the huge numbers of OpShops and charity stores that are over there. Had this amazing journey, worked for Cancer Research UK, really learnt what big business charity retail looked like, volunteered at a number of stores across London and Scotland and Paris and Berlin, and then came back to Australia packed up my life in Australia again to take on a head of retail or a retail operations manager opportunity in Hobart, where I was originally from. So this theme of moving around to find the right opportunity continued. In that role, it was my first kind of, mass role where I had responsibility for a whole organisation. We opened the largest op shop I believe in Australia, if not the Southern Hemisphere, being over 2,000 square metres without selling furniture. So homewares, books, clothing, but the furniture shop was separate, so it was quite a large store. That was so much fun. We really enjoyed that. And then the opportunity came to come to Uniting Vic.Tas, which is a much larger organisation. We currently have 17 stores, and we're getting to put in place a whole new strategy, a whole new initiative called Creative, Innovative, Unique, encouraging our stores to have fun, to be fun, encouraging our customers to have fun when they're with us, and creating a different way of being charity retail in Australia. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment. It's so exciting. I'm really loving working with Uniting, and the background is my life. I've spent since I was working in op shops and have really loved it. I think for me, it is that passion for the shop floor which keeps me going in the senior manager role. And I know one day when I'm ready to step down from head of retail, I'll jump back in and look after a shop and my store team, and really passionate about what we create in stores keeps me going in this head of retail role, or senior manager of op shops as we call it in Australia. So we'll do another video right now. You'll be able to see it come on the YouTube link soon, talking around op shops and what are op shops. So I'll see you at that one very soon. You can follow Uniting Op Shops on Instagram or Facebook, or follow me at The Jacob Miller Show. Thanks so much.